Welcome back. So I thought today I would go a little bit more behind the scenes about what has been going on the last couple of weeks. I think with a lot of the traveling content and the sort of digital nomad content, it's very positive, it's very dream life orientated, and I think even with my content sometimes, maybe you'll correct me, it very much does seem like it's a, hey, this was me before and this is me after. And I think I wanted to shine a bit of light on the realities post fixing, post kind of, I don't even want to say glow up, that seems like the wrong thing to say, but post burnout, I guess, like being in a space where you feel genuinely happy with your choices and your decisions. But yeah, I think I just wanted to kind of highlight that even when you're living your dream, even when you like look around at everything and you're like, this is great, like I'm so happy right now, it's still super normal to have days, weeks where you crash, where things don't go your way, and you kind of come up against some challenges and maybe some things that you thought you'd moved on from and maybe you've healed from. So yeah, I just wanted to do an episode on that, kind of maybe call it something to do with burnout whilst traveling, or I don't know. I'll work on the title, but yeah, let's get into it. I think I am super happy about, in terms of my growth, so to speak, is I feel like now when I get triggered, now when I get upset, now when I get burnt out, I'm much better at recognizing it. But at the same time, I don't usually see it until it's too late. So once it's there and it's arrived, or it's sort of after the fact, I'm much better at being like, oh, okay, I'm burnt out. I have reacted a certain way, so I need to rectify that. The concept of the first thought you can't control, but the second thought is the most important step. So what that means is you will always have an emotional reaction to something, right? You could be the most healed person in existence, whatever that means. But you could have done all of the work, well, again, whatever that means, and you could be in a space where you're genuinely happy and things are going really well for you. And then something happens which maybe triggers an old wound that you've not had triggered for a while, and you hit the roof, right? Could be even something as simple as something at work, or just one day you're feeling off and you just snap. Maybe that's to your partner, to someone close to you, or even just like a day of not necessarily being particularly nice to yourself. And I think when we try to control that first thought, that's where we go wrong, or that's where we end up beating ourselves up, because we think, oh shit, I shouldn't have reacted like that, or I'm a bad person because I raised my voice. But ultimately, I genuinely believe that it's the second thought that's more important, because the first thought, the first reaction, that initial response is based on you being heightened, right? It's you being triggered. It's you coming from a space of hurt. Even if that person didn't cause the hurt, that hurt was there from a past. And again, I'm a big believer that we don't release our trauma. We don't let go of our problems. They stay with us forever. They make us who we are. And I think it's better to learn to live with those things and accept those things that happened to us and those experiences we had, and learn to move on. Again, even move on. Learn to accept them for what they are and work with them, so we can sort of build the new reality whilst acknowledging those things happen. Because I think if we try and say we've moved on, we've let go, we've released whatever the kind of turn of phrase is, I think it almost makes it more, it like demonizes it when it eventually will inevitably come up again. And yeah, so I think I've kind of over explained that phrase, but I do sort of believe that second thought is the most important. And that's something that has been kind of at the forefront of my mind the last couple of weeks. And I think from some of my content on Instagram, if you follow me, I've tried to be quite open and honest with the fact that Sri Lanka didn't really work out, and I've done a couple videos previously on my channel, so if you want to go and check those out, then I'd recommend that after this, and let me know what you think, and obviously subscribe because I want to get to 100 subs. But I think I'm trying to be super open and honest with the realities of things not working out. I think when we try really hard for something, and I think something that I'm really guilty of or struggle with sometimes is when I've told people I'm doing things, and I don't know if you can relate to this, but when I've said I'm doing something and then it doesn't work out, or for whatever reason I don't want to do it anymore, I give up, or something else seems more interesting, I almost feel like bad, or I'm like, but I've told everyone that I was going to do this thing. So that almost makes it more difficult to give up. And again, I don't want to use the word give up, but kind of change your mind, because I told everyone that I was moving to Sri Lanka. I'd made content about moving to Sri Lanka. I'd made YouTube videos about moving to Sri Lanka. I was super excited, and I genuinely thought it was going to work out. And I think I found it difficult to admit that when it wasn't working, and I didn't want to walk away from it because it was supposed to be the dream. So yeah, I mean, in terms of where I'm at now, the last couple of weeks, the sort of circumstances why I left, that's all on the other video. It's titled Why I Left Sri Lanka, so go and check that out. I won't really repeat myself on that. But in terms of when I actually left, the morning of, I was supposed to be there, I'd like paid rent and everything for the whole month, and I was sat in a cafe of that morning, and I was just feeling really like crushed. I had felt like I was trying really hard to make things work in Sri Lanka. I had been trying to juggle too many things. I'd been teaching yoga, I'd been surfing, I'd been going to the gym, trying to get back into the gym, I'd been focusing on mobility, I'd been trying to lose weight, so obviously being conscious of what I'm eating and doing a bit of cardio while surfing, whilst learning to handstand, whilst navigating sort of new friendships and dating and stuff from like my past, and working on what I want to do in the future, and content creation. I was trying to post every single day. Yet it still didn't feel enough. Like, even though I was doing all of those things which I've just listed, I was sat there going, you're not posting on YouTube. Or I'd be going, you're not earning any money. You need to start a business. You need to do this. You need to do that. Like, there was just, and I think that's something that I'm really guilty of, and maybe that's something you can relate to. So if you can, let me know in the comments, because I'd be genuinely interested to know if that is a more of like a normal human experience rather than just a me thing. But yeah, I think I struggle with that. Nothing is enough. Like, I need to keep working towards whatever it is, and sort of to what end. So ultimately, I think I just burnt myself out again, and I think it doesn't matter the environment. It's not like, oh, like you're living on a beach somewhere, therefore like you can't burn out, because of course you can. And I think maybe that's something that I thought as well, is after working in the police for so long and doing a genuinely really difficult job with really long hours and the kinds of experiences you have day to day, I was a bit like, well, I'm invincible now, because how hard can it be to teach 2 yoga classes a day? How hard can it be to go surfing? You know, like super first world problems, and I'm not for one instance saying that I would rather be doing anything else. And yeah, but at the same time, it just goes to show that you still only have, there's that spoon analogy, isn't there, where you say you have sort of 6 spoons for the day, and you go to work, and I don't know, maybe you go and see a friend, or you do the shopping, and all of that uses 3 or 4 spoons. So then you only have 1 or 2 spoons left. So by the time you've got home and you've eaten and you've only got that 1 spoon, it's kind of, you wonder why you can't go to the gym and learn a language and start a new hobby and start a second income, optimizing all of your hobbies to earn money. It's because we just don't have the capacity to do that much. And that's why we burn out. And that's why I think I regularly burn out, because I push and push and push. And yeah, so that's kind of what happened. And I've been in Indonesia for a couple weeks now. I've just arrived in Lombok, so I've kind of come for a bit of a slower time, which is nice. But yeah, when I arrived in Bali, so I think I mentioned in one of the other videos that I injured my leg. I think I had like a minor tear in my hamstring. So when I was surfing, I kind of got pulled the wrong way. Carried on surfing because it didn't really seem that bad, and then when I got out, I couldn't walk, so that was good. And I didn't really rest it the first week because, again, I had that feeling of just push through. So I kept training, I kept trying to do things. I stopped surfing. But yeah, so I think I arrived in Sri Lanka, I left Sri Lanka and arrived in Bali on sort of week 2 of that injury. I was limping, like literally hobbling. I couldn't straighten my leg, like my knee just wouldn't bend. So I couldn't move around, and that meant I couldn't train, and that also meant that I couldn't surf, or like I didn't even have the ability to just go for a walk, which is obviously very frustrating. And I felt exhausted anyway from the fallout of Sri Lanka, like just moving, sort of that kind of feeling like it hadn't worked, feeling like I had to justify it, or feeling like a bit of a failure, you know. So I think I just kind of crashed. Like I got to Bali and I went and saw my friends, because I've got some friends that live in Ubud, and it was like so nice to see them. And I think, you know, when you get somewhere that feels like home or somewhere comfortable and your nervous system just kind of relaxes after a lot of uncertainty, it kind of felt like my whole body just did like a huge exhale. And yeah, I just was burnt. Like for the first week in Ubud, I just slept for hours and hours and hours, and I was just eating so much food, and I was still feeling tired. Like my body just felt exhausted. Like I was going to the gym, and I was mainly going for the sauna and the ice, but I was like occasionally trying to do a few bits just in the gym, but just like, you know, when your body's just like, I don't have the energy, what do you want me to do? Plus I had the injury, so I was getting like really frustrated because of all of the kind of the progress that I thought I had made in Sri Lanka, and I'd lost kind of some weight, and I'd kind of found some routine with the gym again, and then all of a sudden it's like, sorry buddy, you're injured and you can't walk. And I think one of the other things that I struggle with, this is going to become like an overshare channel, isn't it? Is sort of that body image, and I really struggle with food, like even now. So I think like as soon as you take away the ability to work out, and I'm obviously eating more because I'm so tired and my body needs it, I'm like, right, that's it, I'm gonna get fat, I'm gonna like lose all my muscle, and like, yeah. So that on top of feeling burnt out, that on top of the injury and not being able to surf, that on top of kind of being back in Bali but not really knowing many people, like, so I just kind of felt a little bit like a crash or a come down from the last couple months and sort of everything that's happened. And then I think as well, like I think sometimes that you have to almost download what has happened, like process what has happened. So that was obviously happening in the background, and I'm just kind of laying there, going to like my comfort cafes and spots that I know, and like not even thinking about money because I'm just tapping just to try and like get a sense of normality. So yeah, so I definitely crashed, and I guess there were some positives that came out of coming to Bali. I I had sort of a call with the marketing agency, and I'm now sort of working with them to help me to start an online business for coaching. So it's going to be some sort of sports coaching, but I'll sort of update a bit more about that later. I'm still sort of very early stages, kind of week one. It's kind of like a sort of 12, 14 week program, and then you start releasing obviously your sort of your program, your sort of what you've been working on, and then you've kind of got a few more months with them to really sort of hone your craft, I suppose. So hopefully next year I'll be earning money from online coaching, and that will sort of give me a bit more freedom in terms of not having to rely on the volunteering roles for yoga, and not having to sort of go home for long periods of time to save money to sort of come back again. Because again, that probably doesn't help with that sort of back and forth of burnout. So that was really positive, but again, it's kind of like I've crashed, and then I've got all of this excitement with that, and I'm like, I want to get to work, but at the same time my brain is just exhausted. And then I kind of ended up like hyper focusing on it, and in a couple of days I blitzed through a load of stuff, and then again like I end up kind of crashing. Like I definitely have this sort of ADHD up and down with, I'll work really hard on something for a couple of days and then I'll crash out and feel like I can't do anything. But it probably balances out over the course of the week. So even though I'll have worked say 2 out of 4 days, maybe over those 4 days I'll have achieved a similar amount to a non-ADHD equivalent person, right? So that's how I try and be nice to myself about it. And what happened was, as I started to feel like I was leveling out and my leg was starting to get a bit better, I went viral, didn't I? So I've done another video on that, so you can go back and watch that. And the title is something about how going viral grew my Instagram, something like that. You'll see it. There's not many videos on my page. And that was a whirlwind. So obviously day one was super exciting. Like I'd been working on my social media for a couple months, and some people take years to get any sort of growth, and I was really in that I'm gonna slog, I'm gonna work, and maybe I'll break 1K next year and we'll see how it goes. And then literally overnight I got 2 million views. It's now up to almost 6 or 7 million. I can't remember, it's a crazy amount. And I've grown up to like 12,000 followers, I think. So I've grown 11,500 followers in like 2 or 3 days. And that in itself was like a lot to process, and for like 2 or 3 days I've just not even really been able to focus on anything else. Like I've been a massive slave to Instagram, not even scrolling, I'm just looking at my metrics. I'm like, what is happening? Is it still going? Opening it and seeing how many follows I've got. I had like 100 DMs, so I was like slowly replying to some, and even that was like a lot to sort of process, that I had strangers reaching out to me and sort of telling me their story, asking me questions. So I kind of was working through them, and the second day of going viral, I suppose, I just completely crashed and started feeling anxious. I was kind of walking around thinking like, sounds ridiculous, but I'm like, these people don't know that I went viral. So it was just kind of like a really weird headspace to be in. I was really obsessed with what was happening on my social media, and I also was kind of really insular with, I didn't really feel like I had like I couldn't just walk up to someone and be like, hey, can I talk to you about the fact that I went viral, and I don't really know what to do. And I think there's also like a psychology shift of when you're posting to 300-400 people and I'm trying to grow my account, you're kind of in this mindset of, right, I don't really care, and I'm just going to keep posting, and it will just gradually grow and I'll gradually adjust to it. But when you go from that 400 all the way up to over 10K, so you skip that, oh shit, I've got 1,000 followers, oh shit, I've got 5,000 followers, it's like a lot for your brain to really catch up on. It's kind of like, oh, okay, well now there's all of these people following me. That's a stadium full of people, and if I was stood in the middle of a football pitch and was talking to 12,000 people, I would be very anxious and imposter syndrome on steroids. So yeah, it's crazy, and I think I really felt that on day 2 and even into sort of day 3. It just kind of felt like I was trying to comprehend how much that changes everything in terms of what my social media focus is, but also the platform that I now have. And I know sort of 10,000 in the grand scheme of social media is not a lot, but it's a crazy amount of people, and especially because it grew from me telling my story. It didn't grow from me hopping on a viral trend. I literally was vulnerable and spoke about my last few years and my mum and the loss that I experienced. So yeah, it was a lot to think, and I think that's where the anxiety came from, because there was like and I've heard this before with big creators where they've said they'll get 1,000 comments saying, "You're amazing, I love it, keep going, so proud of you," all of those really positive comments you get. They'll get like 2 or 3 comments, like just negative, and that's the ones that their brain focuses on. And I've never experienced that. I've obviously never been able to relate to it, but I kind of made the mistake and learned from that very quickly to not read all of the comments, because there were like a couple negative ones where I kind of read them and I was like, oh, well, that obviously doesn't make me feel very good. So yeah, it's an adjustment to have to do very quickly when you get that many eyes on you and you're having an emotional impact on that many people, so much so that they're following, commenting, DMing. That's not all going to be positive. And so that's been a learning curve, and that's been sort of something for me to think about. And yeah, just even sort of the craziness of people in like my sort of like family and friends sort of wanting to know what's been going on and messaging me with how many followers I've got now. And it's been an interesting couple of weeks really, and I think I'm hoping that I'm sort of coming on the other end of that now, and I'll probably have another couple slow days, because I was actually sick yesterday. I did not have a very happy stomach, so I cancelled my boat over to Lombok and I just had a whole day in bed, and boy did I need it, because I did not move. And I think it just goes to show how tired that I've been without really realising it. I just literally slept on and off most of the day, and then slept all the way through overnight. And then I've travelled to Lombok today, which was actually super easy, but I still just feel tired. So I think I'll probably have another couple slow days, and then hopefully I will perk back up next week and restore a little bit of normality, whatever that means. But yeah, I will probably round it up here. I think I just wanted to hop on and give a bit of context to the reality of the last couple of weeks, because I think from the outside, living in Sri Lanka, and then, oh no, like you've had to leave and you've gone to like Bali of all places, and going viral, like a massive first world problems. And I'm not necessarily doing this to expect sympathy. I think I just want to be authentic and show that traveling and moving past struggles and living your dream doesn't equal you're happy all of the time. And I think, yeah, the last couple of weeks I have just felt really sort of burnt and a bit down and out, and a little bit more anxious than maybe I usually feel. So yeah, if you can relate to that, or you want to hear more of that, then let me know in the comments. And I'm up to 50 subscribers, so I'm halfway to 100. So I appreciate everyone that has subscribed. And if you're new here, then go and binge on the other couple videos. and make sure you hit subscribe. I'm trying to be like super easy to watch and listen to. I'm not trying to over curate my edits. So I think like my goal for, or my target audience for my YouTube is, or how I envision my videos being watched, is you're in the car, you're driving somewhere, you don't even need to watch it, you just stick it on Bluetooth. You're doing the washing up, you're cleaning, you just stick my video on the side and you just listen to the updates and whatever's going on, and hopefully some words of wisdom, and hopefully some things that will inspire you or make you realize that it's all right to feel shit sometimes. It's all right to feel burnt out. It's all right to kind of go through those lulls. And yeah, so that's kind of where I'm trying to go with the channel at the minute. And I was planning on posting every day, but it's kind of been every couple days, and I think that's fine. So what am I posting about next? I've even got the list so I can tell you what the next one is going to be. So the next video is, I've said dating whilst traveling, but I don't know if I want to do that one. So I've got the other topics. I've got lessons, what I wish I knew before changing my entire life, and I've got building something new. So okay, so I've got a couple of options, so it will be one of those three, or it might be something completely different. So if you have a preference, let me know in the comments. So comment below either dating whilst traveling, so just put dating, building something new, so business, and the other one is lessons. So comment dating, business, or lessons, and I will do a video on all three of those things, but whichever one gets more in the comments, I will do the next one on that. So I will see you on the next one. Make sure you subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend to tell another friend, because I want to get to 100 subs. Please and thank you. I appreciate you. Peace.